my name is San, and today I'll film another reading video. I know that you liked some of it, and I'm very excited to read my own book that I've written. I don't know, I love to share my work with you. So I'll read it on my tablet. It's turned on to the charging. I usually forget to charge it, and it's like 1% financial left. So I think it'll be beneficial for both iPad and me to charge it. So today we'll read chapter 3 of the book. If you're interested in first chapter, second chapter, preface, all of it you can find on my channel. I think I'll leave the links down below if you're interested. And if you like it, please consider buying it on many different platforms: Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Smashwords, many different in Australia, German, France, Italy, Spain, many different platforms. You can just type in unknown ways how my book is called. Maybe it'll be in your platform, because sometimes I don't even know in how many platforms my book is. Because yesterday I typed in my name in like Korean store. It was there, which was surprising. So yeah, and I added a special link to Indian store on Ocean Press. You can buy paperback version for 400 rupees. So if you're interested in it, please consider buying it. And please, if you read it, leave a review. If you liked it, if you didn't, I'm really interested in your opinion, and you really need it. And currently it is on sale, so it will be free for you to buy. So if you're interested to read my story, I give it to you. Enjoy. Today is a sunny day, and I consider it a perfect weather to read my book, as it is about light and shadows, and the gloomy Krelon that is always under the dark clouds, or it was before. So let's start. The day of the wedding started early in the morning. The sun was yet to rise, but she was woken up by the maids to prepare for the celebration. Despite her taking a bath in the evening, they made her do it again, washing the body with different soaps and oils that smelled of roses. Would you like to stay here, or we can dress you up for the ceremony? The maid, Bella, asked her. She was too serious for her age and never spoke until necessary. Alison nodded, standing up from the top. Covered in a bathrobe, she moved to the bedroom, only to find Benoit sitting on a corner of her bed, waiting. I thought you'd never come, she muttered, sitting down beside him. Sorry, our mom wanted me to take part in preparations. You don't know how many roses they put inside of the dining room. It's ridiculous, he whispered. Sorry, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, he whispered. Not wanting to be overheard by mates. Like a theory, a dozen of a crowd ever surfaced with peonies. Fine, we do. Benoit laughed, taking a hairbrush in his hand. It was a necessity to brush her hair. Whereas that she woke up with usually disappeared after the procedure, but maids braided it anyway. Do you think I will look alright in the dress Maxime made for me? Alison asked, looking at the dark green gown that lay beside her. It was soft to touch. The entire court will be there, and I still don't know what first impression should I make. You already established the first impression the day we arrived. Your actions after the wedding will build the image they will have. What a perfect impression I made. Tired after the days of traveling. Benoit smiled, pulling her closer. But you is the only option we have, and the only way we can get through this. She sighed. Even though I want to end it right now and take you home. Finally, I can hear your unbiased opinion. Can you tell me this when we're back at home? She exclaimed, suddenly getting even more nervous. He shrugged and said there was no way out now. It's your choice, Ellie. Whatever feels right to you. I couldn't decide for you. I know, she sighed. It would be much easier for him to tell her how to be. But it wouldn't be Benoit if I let some sort of freedom slip away from her small hands. Small hands. The knock and the small door announced the tailor coming in, hands full of ribbons and fabrics. Time for the last fitting, Your Majesty. Alice inside. She says too much, doesn't she? Considering her situation. Alice inside, giving up on making him call her by the first name. What is it? She pointed to beautiful champagne fabric. Champagne fabric. Looks like that undergown to me, Benoit shrugged, picking it up. It's a wonder that they let you grow the right shades. Maxime came closer, fitting the corset. Trust me, it was a miracle. It was a miracle. We argued with Armand for so long. He considered the queen needing to wear the color of her husband's country, but Red would let it slide. Truly a wonder. After putting on layers of clothing, she spun, looking at the dress. Magnificent emerald velvet fabric was embellished with silver linings. Lovely velvet tracery covered not only the front, but smoothed the sleeves too. It's a masterful work, Maxime. I don't know how I made it in such a short time. I had a little help from the Oakenford tailors. Few people did the cutting and measuring while I focused on tracery, Maxime said, fidgeting with his sleeves. You look stunning in it. The dress brings up the shine in your hair and sparkles in your eyes. Alison smiled, tracing the ornaments. She should feel happy. The wedding was to be celebrated, but she felt tired and sad, pushing on a fake smile to hide from people. Soon, the entire room was filled with sunlight. Soft lines reflected on the floors and walls, making his morning magical and surreal. Sunbeams danced on Benoit's face, making his copper skin, brown curls shine. The maids came in and sat her on a chair. Her hands started working her hair, interlacing the white roses. They were so small and gentle, the end of petals colored in a slight shade of warm milk. According to tradition, brides should wear a difficult hairstyle with braids and dozens of pins in it. Flowers look majestic in your hair, Ellie, Benoit murmured. Even if peonies would suit you better. Even if peonies would suit you better. Even if peonies would suit you better. Well, we should follow some traditions. People will think I came to destroy the rain. The boy laughed, looking up to greet Armand that came into the room. We'll see how it goes. The man brought the box with him. Carefully placing the heavy item, he bowed at her, standing aside from the crowd. He was dressed in black, straight lines of his jacket highlighting cheekbones and complementing his raven hair. Slowly opening the wooden box, Benoit smiled, looking at the set of jewels. There was a silver necklace with a tiny chain that will fall below the décolleté. Star-shaped diamonds were sitting at the end of each, shining in the sun. Between them were placed similar earrings that reminded Alison of raindrops. But what caught her attention was the crown. The shining silver interlaced with creamy pearls and transparent diamonds, designed to be worn on the head of the young girl with its slight curves and floral pattern. It's gorgeous, she breathed, not taking her eyes away from it. The maid picked it up to place on her head, but was interrupted by Benoit's hand. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want if you don't mind. If you don't mind. If you don't mind. Alison nodded, raising her eyes to the mirror. He stood behind her, lifting the crown above her head. Their gazes met and stayed connected the whole time. All the noises in the room disappeared, creating the light bubble around them, uninterrupted, uninterrupted by others. A moment before, they were in the stone-cold room of the castle, and next, they were back in the garden with nothing but flowers in their hands. The smell of blossoming trees filled their lungs. The end of the scene. To be fair, the constant reminder of blossoming trees in spring, cherry blossoms, just me enjoying the most incredible thing that I love on earth. And my favorite season is when the trees are blossoming, especially cherry trees or apple trees too. It's the most magnificent thing, so I needed to put it in a book. And I put it so often that sometimes it is like, okay, you love it too much, don't you? But yeah, it's a lovely scene. I love it. And I love the depictions of all the dresses, jewelry, all of that. I truly enjoyed imagining it, how they'll look on her wedding day, how it depicts her, how young she is, how light and bright she is right now. And I wanted it to contrast her in the future. So yeah, let's continue. They met in a lovely palace garden, while children still ran freely, happily taking the world in. The bright pink and soft white mixed on the ground was the disappearing reminder of delicate blossom petals that still covered the trees. Syrian spring claimed its rights, and various types of plants were already in a full blooming stage, letting people not only enjoy the view, but the scent of it too. The garden was full of people, but the boy focused on a bench near the birth path. He picked a few flowers from the ground, taking them in his small hands, and slowly went to the little girl and caught his attention. I got something for you. Cherry blossom flowers. They're the color of your dress, he said, looking down at the ground. Girl's robe was colored in the softest pink. Silk fabric hugged her tiny shoulders. Black wavy locks covered them, bouncing from every movement. Their length created a graceful cascade, hiding the face from everyone, if she wanted to. Everybody knew who she was, but let her enjoy the weather in peace. Thank you, they are lovely, the princess noticed, grabbing gentle flowers. Do you want to sit with me? Can I? The boy asked, knowing well not to meet with girls in colorful dresses without the approval of the nannies. His mommy always told him to be careful around royal girls. My nanny won't disagree, she smiled, asking the permission from the woman beside her. I'm Ellie, and you are... Benoit, he said proudly, tilting his nose up. How old are you? I'm almost 9. Only 3. Too small for me to be your friend? She sadly added. Not at all. I will teach you what I know, and you will teach me what you know. And if I don't know enough? The boy smiled, looking at the shy girl. You didn't have any friends here. His mother was too careful about his acquaintances. I'm sure you do. But even if you don't, we will find something interesting to talk about. It brought a smile to her face, making it shine from within. The gold sparkles covered her skin, a reflection of the sunlight that encompassed the garden. She found a friend. The boy with a funny name and pretty flowers in his hands will show her the world, and maybe one day, she will help him find something interesting in return. Let's continue reading. Benoit whispered, fixing her braids. Alison tilted her chin up, holding her breath and looking into her own eyes. There was no turning back. The title won't be the only wedding gift. The choice won't be something that a person with her responsibilities could afford. There was no queen in theory for a long time. Her mother died when she was a child, and even though she remembered her, memories didn't hold any instructions on how to be a perfect wife to a king and rule over the country. She'll need to learn it herself, even though it was scary and brought nothing but uncertainty. I'm not even married yet, B, she tried to joke, smiling through tears. I'll be the queen by the end of the day, and you'll call me names after that for the rest of eternity. Benoit gently touched her cheek. I don't think eternity is a thing we mortals can afford. So can we, royals. But we can try to create our own. Eternity for however long we have. That's cheesy. He laughed, trying to release the tension in the room. What can I say? I'm known for being romantic. Nothing could change that. The sunlight became brighter, allowing the jewels of the crown to shine from within. Alison looked at them, not afraid to look straight into the light. They were beautiful, reflecting the different colors on the walls and mirror. Her black hair contrasted with the bright luminescent metal, dark braids interlaced with the base, wrapped by the maid's hands. The roses of Crelon were covered in shadows, hopefully not for a long time. The red flowers decorated the grand staircase, but the white marble under their feet was the only thing she could see. Emerald fabric fluttered around her legs, softly touching her ankles. Dozens of guests stood on the both sides of her, facing each other. Her face was partly hidden behind the wedding veil, the only piece of cloth that was colored white. A larger procession waited for her at the end of the hall. Women dressed in red dresses with hands covered in gloves, and men in black gowns that watched at her with interest. They were not supposed to see her face before the groom would, so they concentrated on the dress. Procession slowly exited the main building and headed to church. There was no word exchange between guests, no sign or whisper. The sun was bright above their heads, blinding the view. Before Alison noticed, they were at the doorstep of the church, but the groom waited for her to arrive. His black tunic contrasted with the green of his gown, surprising her with traditional Therian color. Edward took a step forward, lifting her veil, revealing the face to himself and the public. "Should we start, my dear?" he asked, taking the breath away from her. She nodded, looking at him in eyes that sparkled with unusual joy and happiness. The grey diamond suddenly looked warm. The king took her hands in his, tracing the knuckles with a finger. The movement made her shiver, feeling the fire burning her skin. "I, Edward, take you, Alison, for my lawful wife, to have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for sickness and health, until death itself takes us apart. I, Alison, take you, Edward, for my lawful husband," the girl repeated after him, flinching when the heat became too painful. "To have and to hold, from this day forward, for better, for worse, for sickness and in health, until death itself takes us apart." At her last words, Edward took a ring from the man beside him, placing on each of her fingers, while he declaimed the same words again and again, again and again, again and again. "Let our union be eternal, let our union be eternal, let our union be eternal, let our union be eternal." When he reached for the ring finger on her right hand, he stopped, ending the speech. "So be it." Feeling nauseous, Alison tried to smile, but her head was spinning and the world seemed to blur. Breathing through her nose, she closed her eyes, taking a few seconds to relax. So, when she finally looked at her husband, he smiled back, the expression she didn't trust. They headed to the special mass in the church, followed by the sound of crows, until the doors were closed. The church was magnificent. Grand designs fell light from within. Sun symbols placed here and there to reflect the religion. They were seated in the first row. Dozens of prayers flowing to the united tone, asking for the healthy future offspring of the couple and long lives to the groom and bride. Alison didn't notice the end of the service. Edward looked at her, already standing beside the priest, taking his hand, the priest. "Thank you for the beautiful service, Father." "It was my pleasure, Your Majesty." "May the saints bless you with the happy days ahead," he breathed, kissing the king on both cheeks. The man looked at her eyes, tracing her body up and down, leaving the unpleasant feeling behind. Once they were done, Edward turned around, looking down on his wife. "May the saints bless us," he muttered, leaning forward. He kissed Alison on the lips, cradling the face in his hands. The girl closed her eyes, feeling the burn erupting from the place they touched. It wasn't pleasant, making her wince. Not knowing what to do, she allowed him to continue, patiently waiting for his turn. Edward's eyes were closed, and his hand slightly shook on her face. "Welcome home, my dear. Welcome home, my dear. But it didn't feel like home for her at all. And to the city. I need to notice that won't be a love triangle, if you're wondering, because, well, I myself don't love triangles. It'll be very weird for me to write one, so no love triangles. No love triangles. Consider it. Listen. After a while, a married couple returned to the castle where servants already prepared everything for the main feast. Long tables were filled with food and wine, decorated with white and red flowers that covered the entire room. Benoit was right. They overcrowded the place with roses. The table stood at the front, facing the hall. Dozens of servants ran around the place, filling glasses with wine or taking orders from guests. "The feast is like none I've seen before," Edward whispered in her ear, sitting in his chair. "I should think the cooks later on," Alison nodded, looking around the room. There was no sight of Benoit or even Armand, the faces she recognized. She felt lost in the hall, uneasy from the man beside her. "Are you searching for someone, my dear?" "We can ask," Edward noticed, moving closer. "No," she shook her head. "I'm looking at people here. They're so different from ones I've had home. More conservative, I guess." The girl lied, tilting her gaze down at the plate filled with meat. Deep down, Ellie wanted to look up and continue her search for Benoit. There was no sight of him since she exited the dressing room. Maybe it was supposed to be like that. Them always apart and never together in public, but in the intimate confines of the rooms. "You know, since you arrived, it's sunny like it's never been before in Under Hall," her husband said, looking at the large windows behind him. "It's very remarkable." She shrugged in an answer, not knowing the grayness of Cologne for too long. A few hours later, when the dark settled outside of the castle and servants lit the candles all around the hall, Armand appeared at the table. "Your Majesty, it is time to move to the chambers." "Yes, it is," Edward said, putting down the glass of wine. "Is everything ready?" Alison wasn't aware of what they were talking about. The celebration was at its peak, with guests more drunk than sober. The man nodded and asked people to stand. According to tradition, unmarried guests should throw stockings at the newlyweds. "I think we can survive this little inconvenient belief," Edward commented. The king took Alison's hand in his and walked through the hall, holding the wife close to him. And even though they were walking through people throwing stockings, there were only few who'd make a direct hit. End of the scene. They entered the chambers alone, followed by our man, who wanted to make sure everything was perfect. After waiting for Edward to open the doors, Alison came into the room. It was big, the marble floor seemed endless, and in the middle stood the wooden bed with white sheets. Above hung almost transparent bed curtains made from silk. "Do you know what we're supposed to do here?" he asked, sitting down and motioning her to follow. "No, I don't. In theory, people don't talk about what happens after the wedding," the man sighed, tilting his head. "Colonial traditions imply that 4 men and a father should enter the chamber to consummate the marriage," he said, looking at her. Alison frowned, not understanding. Perhaps some practices are for the interesting kind. "What do you mean, consummate the marriage? We're married in front of dozens of people already. Isn't it enough?" Edward clicked his tongue, laying down on the bed. "During the night of the wedding, a couple makes love to each other. The watchers stay until the end. I decline this tradition." Alison froze, contemplating the situation in her head. The problem was, she knew nothing about married life. In all her childhood and preparations, not a single soul told her about it. Mother was supposed to, but she was gone, and her father didn't find it necessary to educate her on that behalf. Perhaps, in his hands, experience was the best tutor. "Why?" She looked him in the eyes. "Because you're too young and too naive," he muttered, raising a face with the back of his hand. It burned, leaving the fire behind. "I won't do anything unless you want me to. They can wait." "But what about traditions? Won't people think we go against them?" Edward smiled, finding her words hilarious. "I'm the king, my darling. Whatever I do is the saint's will. But we can create an illusion." "How?" Alison asked, watching him take the knife from the bedside table. It was simply designed, made for use and not decor. "With the blade?" Indeed, he cut his palm with it, letting the blood flow on the bed sheets. "Here we are." "Why?" The girl stared at the red color on the white fabric. "I may be the monster in most cases, but not in this," Edward smiled, pulling off his crown, placing it in Alison's hands. "The crown allows you to do a lot of cruel, dark things, but you should draw a line somewhere or you'll go insane." "And when the darkness follows you around?" the girl muttered, looking at the birds that appeared in her hands. She laid the crown on the sheets, hiding her hands from the man's gaze. Edward smiled, pouring himself wine into the glass. "You need to learn not to listen." Alison nodded, following his movements. "How long should I be here?" "Till the morning," came an answer. "You can go to sleep. I'll be in another room." The man opened the door, showing the dark cabinet full of bookshelves and burnt-out candles. Alison lay down, carefully wrapping herself in the blankets. It was a cold evening in the castle, and shadows crawled around, uninterrupted by the dim light that made her shiver. Her eyes closed, and she let go, falling into the dream. Theory and gardens and 2 kids whose whole life was still ahead. And while ladies from all around the world wanted to be in her place, the only thing she wished for was to be in a little room hidden in the farthest corner of the castle, filled with warmth and laughter, where no one else could disturb their peace. End of the chapter. Can you imagine? It takes 32 minutes to finish one chapter. Wow. It's like you're supposed to read it for like 9 minutes if you read it by yourself and not out loud, I guess. What do you think about this chapter? I'm very interested, and it's like the last chapter of pre-wedding, pre-queenie state of her. Next will be more like mystical, more serious, more dark. It's like it's pretty bright and kind, light. Everything is like alright. Nothing is too bad. So it was my pleasure to read for you my own book chapters. I hope that you liked it because I truly enjoy reading the book that I've written because it took me 2 years to do so. So I like to share it with people. So if you're interested in reading it or reading the description, the full description, what's actually happening, everything you can find in the links below. There you can find a book street URL tab. So there is a collection of all the links, okay, not all, many links where you can buy the book. But actually you don't need to buy it. It's free for you. Read it. Please comment what do you think of it. It'll be the greatest gift to me if you can leave a review on Amazon or Goodreads. Actually, I prefer Goodreads. I finally have a verified author profile, so it'll be my pleasure to have you there. I answered some questions there. If you're interested, you can leave them there on Goodreads. And yeah, thank you so much for being here with me today. I truly enjoyed the company. So yeah, see you in the next video.